Welcome back to another episode of Ministry Truth. I am your only host on this show. How's everybody doing this fine Tuesday morning? All right, Zippity. Figured that. I shall see you in and out, like you said. Not like In-N-Out Burger, because, well, nobody really eats there, right? Unless they're from California. And I heard they were trying to expand. Just like Whataburger. Whether or not that's going to work, don't know, because I never liked Whataburger in the first place. So it's kind of like, whatever. Anyway. We're going to talk about some Brandon Johnson, who had a press conference this morning. A few segments from a congressional hearing this morning with Pam Bondi and a few Democrats. And then some random shit in between. Just can't remember what it was. Here's the fucking phone. Anyway, like I said, before I get started with anything, you know how I like to start off with a song to get us all in the mood. I don't know what kind of mood. For some reason, this song was like in my head this morning. Don't know why. But go get your coffee, go get your bagel, go get your English muffin, breakfast burritos, because we're a very inclusive group. So if you're an illegal, you can go get yourself a breakfast burrito. But until then, I'll see you in a couple minutes.
You are innocence personified, and I will drag you down and sell you out. Run away. I am cold like December snow. I have carved out this soul made of stone, and I will drag you down and sell you out. Embraced by the darkness, I'm losing the light. Encircled by demons I fight. What have I become now that I've betrayed everyone I've ever loved? I pushed them all away, and I have been a slave to the Judas in my mind. Is there something left for me to save in the wreckage of my life? My life. I become man. Judas in my mind. I become man. Judas in my mind. Judas in my mind. For this guilt is a heavy cross. There is blood on the path I walk, and each step I take is haunting me. Embraced by the darkness, I'm losing the light. Encircled by demons I fight. What have I become now that I've betrayed?
Good morning, Juniper. How are you doing? Fine. Ooh, that's not the light. Pick that up.
Been a slave to the Judas in my mind. Is there something left of me to save in the
Much better.
wreckage of my life?
My life.
I become man. Judas in my mind. I become man. Judas in
All right. Now that we finally all got gathered, here today, I did mention a portion of President Trump's question and answer session when he was talking about what the fuck was he talking about? I don't even remember what he was talking about, because this one just threw everything off. Well, it's never nice getting hit by a truck. I hear that hurts. Epsom salt baths. Epsom salt. when I used to get hit by trucks. Well, it felt like I literally got hit by trucks. Epsom salt. A lot of it. And tramadol. But that's besides the point. Now we're going to talk about Donald Trump. And why do I want to talk about Donald Trump? Well, I want to talk about Donald Trump and a question he went to answer yesterday. I alluded to this last night when I was, for those of you that were on Rumble last night, I told you I would allude to this morning and I would get to it. And, well, here's what I was talking about.
Today, Mr. President, and the Supreme Court is back in session. Yeah. They rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance at getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're open to?
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
You know who it is.
You know, I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it.
Bro, you literally heard the name like a month ago.
I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I'll speak. I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
The fact he would even consider that. And he said it on live TV. You would consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell? Another odd thing that you tend to say, Donald. See? You got to pay attention. The shit that they say just doesn't make sense. It's kind of like listening to Democrats. Weird. Why does my nose look weird? Anyway, we're going to switch on to a different topic. Well, it's not really a different topic. Hold on, did I fucking get something out of order? Give me a second. I did. Let's move this down to here. And we're going to listen about a San Antonio police officer. If you sent me one, I don't think I watched it.
I just think that as a law officer, that you're supposed to take this law with a very serious oath, right? You're pledging yourself that you're going to do the right thing and be a great person and protect people. And in this case, this is a person that believes none of that.
I did not.
This is a person who wanted to look like a cop and didn't want to be a cop. Let me say that again. Wanted to look like one, wanted to have a badge, wanted to have a gun, wanted to arrest people, wanted to tell people what to do, wanted to have some authority. And guess what? You would not believe the type of stuff that this fool was.
Oh yeah, listen to this shit. It's fucking disgusting.
Allegedly. Let me give you guys a disclaimer and then we'll go from there. Let's get it.
Hey, Angela.
Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, new website articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer.
And so I'm getting this from news4sanantonio.com. So San Antonio, y'all are taking an L. A former SAPD police officer has been...
Bro. Delay is right on that video, Zippity. 100% right. That's fucking wrong. And I know it's going to happen. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We know it's happening. Congress is still getting paid their $8 million a month. And that's just for the senators and the House of House of Representatives. Not the staffers. None of them. Strictly just the congressman.
Charged with sexually assaulting a child after a teen's outcry for help.
Yo, listen to
And
the
before we
ages
get
of
into
these
the
kids.
details, let me give you a disclaimer. Following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences, including the information. Viewer discretion is advised. YouTube, please stop demonetizing my videos just for
It won't
reading
even
the news,
monetize me,
please.
so.
Okay. Now, on Wednesday, 40-year-old
Oh shit, it
Albert
really is.
John Sanchez Jr., this pedophile that you guys see on my screen, allegedly, was arrested and charged with aggravated child sexual assault as well as continuous sex abuse of a child under the age of 14 years old, which makes him really, really close to a pedophile.
Ooh,
So
really
that make
close.
him a hebephile, not a pedophile,
There
if
you
it's
go.
true. Now, according to court records, a 13-year-old made an outcry to law enforcement, telling officers they had been sexually assaulted by the suspect continuously for several years, so that, if we believe it to be true, would make him a pedophile.
Bro, several years, we know. Maybe 3. You're thinking maybe 3. If you were thinking 3 years, you are dead wrong.
Because 13, 12, 11, 10, several years. I'm saying several, probably about 2 or 3 years. So
Well, a
that
couple
would
would
make
be
him
2.
a pedophile if this is true. During forensic interview, the girl told police that she saw the suspect, this fool,
Listen to it.
sexually assault a victim between 1 and 2 years old. Now, do y'all understand why we have these castration laws in certain states, which might need to be expanded to other states? Why the death penalty exists? Let me read that again for the people way in the back. Some of y'all back there in the back might not have heard what I said. The 13-year-old girl told police,
listen to it,
that she saw the suspect sexually assault a victim between 1 and 2 years old.
It's not where it gets worse.
Previous investigations revealed that both the 13-year-old and the baby, who is now 6 years old, so several years sounds like 6 years. So that would actually make 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Oh my God, that'd make her 7
a 1-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Assaulted by him allegedly. Previous investigations revealed that both the 13-year-old and the now 6-year-old baby were identified as victims of Sanchez when he was found and charged with possession of child pornography.
Yo, these noise canceling things are fucking amazing.
Relatively easily. Sanchez was previously charged with more than 20 counts of possession of child porn.
Wait for it.
In 2024. 20 counts. He remains in custody at the Barry County Jail on a bond of $200,000.
Not enough.
Let me give you guys the fair usage. I think people like that are just, that type of mentality cannot be rehabilitated.
No
it
bond.
Needs to be punished.
You need to sit there and fucking rot.
These people should never be allowed to be in our society ever again.
All right, Zippity.
Police or not.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17
I can put parody?
U.S.C. 107.
I will never understand, and nor do I ever care to understand what it is about these type of fools' mentality. I don't really care.
Dude, I don't give a shit what their
men,
mentality is. They need to get the fuck up.
Police officers or civilians, it needs to be punished and punished severely, because all people like this understand is punishment.
Yep.
All you can do is scare them. Y'all do me a favor and hit that thumbs up and share this story and share about this man who we believe to be a crooked cop. And a
You believe? He is a crooked cop.
Developing now a disturbing case of child.
And what's fucked up, he's on administrative leave.
abuse and pornography that centers around a former San Antonio police officer. The suspect, Albert Sanchez Jr., was arrested again, this time for continued sexual abuse of 2 children. Last year, he was also arrested on 24 counts of child porn. Rania Kaur explains the charges.
In court documents, we've learned in this latest charge, Sanchez Jr. is accused of sexually abusing 2 young girls, one 6 years old and one 13 years old. The reported abuse started, however, years ago and continued on for years. The abuse reportedly happened when both the victims were much younger. Sanchez Jr. is accused of performing sexual acts on these children at least twice. And the 13-year-old told police she actually witnessed Sanchez sexually assaulting a girl who was just 1 or 2 years old at the time. In a previous investigation, detectives found Sanchez had child pornography, which included the 2 young girls. Sanchez was arrested in January 2024. Child pornography, which included the 2 young girls. Sanchez was arrested in January 2024 for 24 child pornography charges. He spent 16 years as a San Antonio police officer. He was also involved in an officer-involved shooting that happened on Colima Street in October 2023. Sanchez faces charges of continued sexual abuse of a child, as well as super aggravated sexual assault of a child. He has since bonded out of jail.
Did she say super?
Rania Kaur, KENS 5.
Sarah, a former San Antonio police officer under arrest again, this time for continued sexual abuse of 2 children. Officer under arrest again. This San Antonio police officer under arrest again. Sarah, a former San Antonio police officer under arrest again, this time for continued sexual abuse
Sounds like
of
something
2
I would
children.
do. No, wow.
Just less than a year.
Where he kept rewinding, making the guy repeat what he said. Y'all seen me do that. And I'm guessing his is at a 5-second rewind too.
A year ago, Albert Sanchez Jr. was arrested on 24 counts of child pornography. KENS 5's Rania Kaur live this morning, and Rania, this apparently went on for years.
Audrey Berry, these quite frankly very disturbing court documents outline exactly what happened. The victims in this latest charge are just 13 and 6 years old.
Holy shit.
The abuse reportedly went on for years and happened when they were much younger. In these court documents, it says that these 2 girls Sanchez Jr. is accused of performing sexual acts on these children at least twice. And the 13-year-old, according to court documents, actually witnessed Sanchez sexually assaulting the younger child, who was just 1 or 2 years old at the time. In a previous investigation, detectives found Sanchez had child pornography, which included the 2 young girls. Sanchez was arrested in January 2024 for 24 child pornography charges. He spent 16 years as a San Antonio police officer, and he was also involved in an officer-involved shooting that happened on Colima Street in October 2023. Now, Sanchez faces charges of continued sexual abuse of a child, and he also...
What does it mean by continued? I mean, it happened a few times, but I don't understand what they mean by continued.
Faces charges of super aggravated sexual assault of a child.
Again, I told y'all under the age of 13 years old, Texas has that super aggravated child abuse law. So you just
they call it
right
super?
There. I've talked about it before. It rears its head every once in a while.
According to jail records, he has since bonded out. Reporting live, I'm Ron.
Oh, he bonded out. Of course.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't understand, like, if he was charged with having child porn back in 2024, was he out this whole time? Was he working?
He was out.
Or
administrative leave.
What was he doing to earn money? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what the term
I do. Administrative leave. There's no lie about it. It said it in the segment. Shame. You know, as the protesters would say, shame, shame, shame. Like, you yell shame at me, I'm just gonna laugh at you. Fuck's that supposed to make me feel? I've been called a baby killer, alright?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Madam Attorney General, let me ask you this question. Were you consulted by the White House?
The best part about this is Marsha Blackburn. I remember when Marsha Blackburn was telling this motherfucker, hey, we need to do this. And he was like, rah, 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 and left her till like the end of the fucking meeting.
Before they deployed National Guard troops to cities in the United States?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House.
You won't even say whether you talked to the White House about this?
Does she have to?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
I noticed that. What's the secret? Why do you want to keep this secret? The American people don't know the rationale behind the deployment of National Guard troops in my state. The word is, and I think it's been...
Listen, the rationale behind deploying troops to National Guard troops, let me rephrase that, to the states is crime. He's not fucking sending them to Nashville, Tennessee. No. He's not sending them to Atlanta. No. Miami? No. Portland? Yes. Chicago? Yes. Los Angeles? Yes. It's only a matter of time for places like Houston. But then again, the police don't play around in Texas, but they might play around in Houston.
Confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois.
Once you get called up federally, the word federally, do you not understand what federally means? When they federalize the National Guard, they can go anywhere. We had people from Kentucky National Guard going all the way to Los Angeles during the Rodney King riots.
What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
Been on this committee for more than 20 years. That's the kind of testimony you expect from this administration. A simple question as to whether or not they had a legal rationale for deploying National Guard troops becomes grounds for a personal attack. I think it's a legitimate question. It's my responsibility. She refuses to answer as to whether she had any conversation with the White House about deploying national troops to my state. That's an indication.
Have you had any conversations with Jeffrey Epstein financiers where you received payoffs?
I'm afraid where we are politically in this place. Let me ask you another question. I want to, if you will, hold on a second. Make sure I got the right page of facts here.
What fact?
You testified under oath when you last before this committee that before your appointment to Attorney General, you had served as a representative of some sort for the royal family of Qatar. There was an issue that came before you in May when President Trump accepted a $400 million luxury jet from the royal family of Qatar for temporary use as Air Force One before it's permanently gifted to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation. The Constitution unequivocally bestows on Congress the power to control whether any officer of the United States, including the President, may accept a gift, quote, from any king, prince, or foreign state, end of quote. And this.
How many gifts have y'all received from the President of Ukraine? How many gifts? Personal gifts have you guys received from the President of Ukraine? The President of France? Justin Trudeau, just to name a few.
This gift clearly violates the statutory regime enacted by Congress. You've refused to answer a letter I sent to you 5 months ago, asking the legal rationale you relied on to advise President Trump to accept this unprecedented gift from your former legal client. Can you make a promise today that you will disclose that?
Disclose what, Ranking Member?
I assume there was a letter or some sort of statement from your office to the White House to advise them that you felt it was permissible?
First, to address my role with Qatar, as I addressed with you during my confirmation hearing, I disclosed it in my SJQ. In private practice, I worked for Qatar for anti-human trafficking for the World Cup.
Oh.
That was my only involvement, and I made.
Oh, let's. Okay, Yeti. Okay. Wondering where that name came from.
In private practice, I worked for Qatar for anti-human trafficking for the World Cup.
Really?
That was my only involvement, and I made that very clear, and I'm very proud of everything I've done with anti-human trafficking. Obviously, in preparing any advice for the president.
Wait, so she was there to help anti-human trafficking for the World Cup? That was her ties to whatever. I can't remember what country it was. But that makes sense. Qatar. It makes sense. It makes sense.
On a jet or anything else, we consult with the Office of Legal Counsel. The confidentiality applies to their input as well. And Chairman, if you would approve and vote to approve, as Chairman Grassley said, excuse me, Ranking Member, as Chairman Grassley said, my employees, we would answer your letters a lot faster, yet you're stalling them at every stop.
Now, pay attention to what she means by letters, okay? Because letters of Grassley not responding is going to come up again in 7 minutes.
And to go back to your previous question, your city has a murder rate 5 times higher than New York's. 571 homicides last year. If you were serious about protecting your people, you would be asking this administration for help. You're saying that we're coming into your state and your city. We're there to help make America safe and Illinois safe, whether or not you want to.
Damn.
I believe cutting federal grant programs to law enforcement in my state and across the nation does not make us any safer, and you've done just that. You've supplanted that decision by sending in National Guard troops to California and other places. That is a situation where the governors have not asked for that help. If you truly wanted to do this on a bipartisan basis, you wouldn't defy a governor, you would work with them. I'm prepared to.
I don't know. For some reason, I guess wanting safety and security is a bad thing. I'm not a big fan, I said, of the military doing it, as long as it's still the National Guard. But you don't have to leave a giant contingency like DC. Mayor Bowser said, hey, can we continue to work with you, partner with the National Guard and the federal law enforcement so we can continue this mission to make it safer? He took over for 30 days, and that was it. Memphis asked for it. Bill Lee asked for it. Cities where they know crime is ridiculous. But why? Why? You don't want America to be safer? Never mind. You want cities like that because illegals. Well, yeah, Memphis is already saying that it's gotten better. And I know why, kind of, sort of. And it has to do with Colossus 1 and 2.
Do that. I'm prepared to work with this administration. But cutting these grants to law enforcement does not make us any stronger as a nation or give us the tools we need to reduce crime in Chicago. Now, I'd just like to ask you, when it came to this Qatar situation, did you consult with the ethics office in the Department of Justice before making your decision on this gift of a jet?
Well, it's funny to think of like Chicago and Los Angeles. They can't afford their own law enforcement. Hence the reason they cut it down, because they've moved the funds elsewhere, with their whole defund the police movement. Yet when, the crime gets ridiculous and then, hey, we need to help, you're fucking retarded. You don't care about your people. Especially Brandon Johnson. You can straight up tell he doesn't care about 99% of Chicago. It's that 1% of him and his cronies that are getting money off of this. No profit in unity, no profit in peace. There's always money to be made. Always money to be made. And that's what it's all about. As much as they say this capitalist society, this capitalist society, that, you keep asking for money. And Chicago is asking money from investors. Remember the Chicago's teachers union, the $300 million high interest loan that he was trying to get from China?
Chairman, I didn't gift a jet to anyone. My Office of Legal Counsel provides confidential advice to the President, to the White House, period. And you're conflating two issues. Cutting grants, I was very clear about what grants we've cut and what grants we haven't, only 7%. And if you have a grant in Illinois that you think that I've cut that is not protecting law enforcement officers or your people, you personally call me and I will work with you to turn that grant back on.
Use your phone,
I think
use your
many of the
aide.
Democrats here can tell you, I have worked with them to
You have aides. They should be pulling that shit up right now.
turn grants back on. There's an appeal process. Tell me a specific grant that I have turned off in Illinois that would help law enforcement, and I will work with you. But you have not done that.
Did you take a look?
The National Guard is on the way right now as we speak. Oh, by the way, so is Director Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. You're sitting here grilling me, and they're on their way to Chicago to keep your state safe.
Madam Attorney General, it's my job to grill you. Investigation of your agency is part of my responsibility and this committee. You may not like the experience, but others have weathered the storm and answered questions in a respectful manner.
Can you tell me the grants,
Yes.
Ranking Member, please?
Take a look at the president's budget on HIDA grants. What happens to it in his proposed budget?
I'd be glad to meet with you on the
It's
grants.
cut by 1/3 from $300 million to 196. That's one example of a grant that works, and your administration has suggested cutting it in the budget lies ahead. I want to ask you about items in a letter I sent you in July that you have not answered. In February, you made a public claim that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now for review, end of quote. You then produced already public information and no client list at a major media event hosted at the White House. Attorney General Bond.
Yep. So they said they did cut grants. But as of October 2025, no cuts are Illinois specific.
Why did you publicly claim to have the Epstein client list waiting for your review and then produce nothing relevant to that claim?
Senator Durbin.
All right, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this again. This is probably not the last time I'm going to say this. The government's had that list for over a decade. Maybe a decade, less than a decade. It doesn't matter. It's been there through 3 presidencies. If anything was ever credible in any of that Epstein shit, it's gone. The feds have had this in their hands for far too long. Far too many hands getting in on this. Far too much shit getting disappeared. Will we ever find it in 30 to 50 to 60 years? Maybe our kids' kids will finally get the answer. Lame. That list, those documents, they've been completely scrubbed. There's nothing there. In all honesty, when they gave him that binder full of black line edits, that's kind of how I feel it really is now. Or it's just not there. Because they've had this. It's been in Congress's, or the FBI director's desk for 4 years, from 2021 till 2025. And not once did it come up. Oh, it did? Wait, who brought it up? It wasn't a Democrat. It wasn't Republican. Oh, it was a Republican. I wonder if she brought it up and what happened with that?
If you listen to my entire clip on that, I said I had not reviewed it yet, that it was sitting on my desk along with the JFK files, the Martin Luther King files. And I said I had not yet reviewed it. And if you see our memo on Epstein, you will see, excuse me, our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list, our July 6th memo. You also didn't let me respond to the HIDTA question.
Wait.
No client list. Our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list. Our July.
Did you catch that? There is no list. No client list.
6 memo. You also didn't let me respond to the HIDTA question. The budget transfers $196 million for high-intensity drug trafficking areas to the Office of Justice Programs, OJP. The Justice Department will continue to administer those grants under OJP in 2026.
What's up,
Going back to the
Feelings? How
Epstein
you doing?
files, according to another whistleblower who made a protected disclosure to my office, you pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records on an arbitrarily short deadline in March, and the FBI was directed to flag any documents that mentioned President Trump. Nothing came of that review until July when DOJ and FBI released an unsigned memo.
Did you not catch the hidden camera guy? You know, that one that got fired?
Stating, quote, there's no incriminating client list. Why was the July 7th memo unsigned?
That's always fun.
The July 7th memo
Gotta
came
take
from
care
the
of the pup.
FBI and the Department of Justice. Director Patel answered those questions very clear. And, you know, Senator Durbin, I find it very interesting that you refused repeated Republican requests to release the Epstein flight logs in 2023 and 2024. You fought that. Did you take money from Reid Hoffman, campaign donations, who was a huge Epstein friend? Why did you fight for years?
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear her. She said a name. Just kidding. Just gonna let her replay. Because, like I said, I remember Grassley saying, or pretty much ignoring the requests, and then lying about it.
Did you take money from Reid Hoffman, campaign donations, who was a huge Epstein friend? Why did you fight for years? Why did you fight to not disclose the flight logs, Senator Durbin?
I tell you, I did not refuse. One of the senators here wished to produce those logs, and I asked her to put it in writing, and she never did.
Yeah, I think Senator Blackburn would quarrel with you on that.
Well, I will quarrel with you as to Reid, somebody that you mentioned I never heard of.
Reid Hoffman.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. You won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
I got to
Mr. Chairman,
something here.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Uh-oh.
since Senator Durbin referred to me, I would really appreciate the opportunity to correct the record.
Proceed.
Because Senator Durbin knows I repeatedly asked for those flight logs. I brought up the subpoena. You even shut down the committee because you didn't want that, and you know I submitted that in writing, and you continue to misrepresent that, and I am not going to let that record stand.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Senator Durbin.
I just want to make it clear that the reason the committee business ended was that your side invoked the 2-hour rule. Point number 2 is I asked you if you wanted any documents like flight logs to put it in writing. You never did.
Yes, sir, I did. And your staff knows that I did.
No,
We'll submit once again
Send me a copy
the
of that,
information to you. We've done that several times, but we'll be happy to once again send it to you. I think your staff doesn't show that to you.
Well, as I started to say about the emolument clause and Democrats bringing that.
She never sent it to you, huh? Chuck? Not Chuck. Dick. Huh? Beaumont, Texas. I guess it was spam. Anyway, Chuck. What were we talking about?
That up in regard to Qatar.
Oh, yes, the memo. The memo. The letters. And it's funny because I always joked about Jim Jordan always saying, we sent a letter. We're gonna write a letter. Letters don't do shit. They don't. And you never hold feet to the fire. That's where real accountability comes from. And if you said the letter and they didn't respond, bring it out on the House floor, on the Senate floor. Let people know. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, let them, and read the letter. Read the letter so the American people can know. We can know the transparency. Granted, if it's secret information, I get it. But a letter wanting to know what you guys are requesting, that actually sounds more realistic. Just so we can know what's in it. Hello.
Back in March of 2016, they didn't care anything about my bringing up the emolument cause in regard. I wrote to the Obama Justice Department. That letter was based on Secretary Clinton's 2009 to 2013 financial disclosures when she was Secretary of State. Those disclosures showed that her husband participated in at least 62 events with foreign states. Some of those were speaking events with connections to foreign governments and the White House.
Oh. So the Clintons did the same thing, huh? Financial compensation. Dick Durbin's always been a piece of shit. Will forever be a piece of shit. And 1,000, maybe a close 1,000, low thousands in Congress could have brought this up. And if they can continue to bring up shit like January 6th, congressionals, what else? Some random frivolous bullshit that they keep bringing up. Why can't they just keep bringing this up? And not just for a fucking 2-second, clip on Facebook. Keep bringing it up. They have fucking meetings on, I don't know, how much water should go into a cup of green fluid in the city of Anchorage, Alaska. Let's debate over that. Bring in the EPA. Bring in the Alaska governor. And bring in that person from MIT that has no idea what the study's about, but he's going to be our expert.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. Bondi, good morning.
Good morning.
What became of the $50,000 in cash that the FBI paid to Mr. Homan in a paper bag, evidently?
What was the question?
Senator, as Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche recently stated, the investigation of Mr. Homan was subjected to a full review by the FBI, agents, and DOJ prosecutors. They found no credible evidence of any wrongdoing.
And that was not my question. My question was, what became of the $50,000 in cash that the FBI delivered, evidently in a paper bag, to Mr. Homan?
Senator, I'd look at your facts.
Nope.
Are you saying that they did not deliver $50,000 in cash to Mr. Homan?
Senator, as recently stated, the investigation of Mr. Homan was subjected to a full
A different
review
question.
by the FBI agents,
That's a
by
different
Department
question.
of Justice prosecutors. They found no evidence of wrongdoing.
That's a different question. What became of the $50,000?
That's a good question.
Did the FBI get it back?
Mr. Whitehouse, excuse me, Senator Whitehouse, you're welcome to talk to the FBI.
The report to you, can't you answer this question?
Senator Whitehouse, you're welcome to discuss this with Director Patel.
Did Homan keep the $50,000?
As Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche recently stated, the investigation of Mr.
Never mind.
Homan
I can
was
see I'm not going to get a straight
full
answer from you to a very simple
by
question.
the FBI agents and the DOJ.
Answer
They
the fucking
found
question.
no credible evidence of wrongdoing. You know, you're very concerned about money and people taking money and you rail against dark money. Yet you work with dark money groups all the time, Senator Whitehouse.
Did you know whether or not in that investigation they looked at whether the 2024 $50,000 payment to Mr. Homan was declared by him on his tax returns?
2024.
Senator, I would be more concerned if I were you when you talk about corruption and money that when you pushed for legislation that would subsidize your wife's company.
The
Holy fuck! You see his face?
Would subsidize your wife's company.
The questions here are actually pretty specific. So having you respond with completely irrelevant far-right internet talking points really is not very helpful here. I'd like, Mr. Chairman, you generally like to have us...
I mean, kind of like you guys bring up far-left talking points from the media. But still. So was the 50,000 before 2025? Was it in 2024? And if it was, what was it? Was he a confidential informant? This makes no sense.
Be able to get answers to know, and we'll follow up with the QFR. And to the extent Patel wants to answer, that would be great as well. What happened to the $50,000? Did Homan keep it? Did the FBI get it back? If he kept it, did he put it on his tax returns? Pretty simple questions. Homan was the same guy who said there was a deal with Eric Adams. He said, if Adams doesn't come through, I'll be back. I'll be in his office, up his butt, saying, where the hell is the agreement we came to? Which brings us to the OPR investigation of prosecutorial misconduct by Emil Bovee, because he was also involved in that transaction. Yeah. What became of the OPR investigation of prosecutorial misconduct by Emil Bovee?
Yeah, Senator Whitehouse, to correct you for one moment, that would be the Honorable Judge Emil J. Bovee III to you.
Not at the time of this. He was an employee of the Department of Justice. And what became of the OPR investigation?
It's all pending litigation, Senator. I can't discuss pending litigation nor personnel matters.
OPR customarily publicly says when there's an investigation, and at the end of it, they
This sounds like some secret spy movie bullshit at the same time, too. It's like, this is a mystery. A mystery. Did it happen? Didn't it happen? There would be some kind of documentation. Is there documentation? Can we get that documentation?
Provide a summary. Why can't you say whether there's an OPR investigation and whether, if it's concluded, there's a summary?
Senator, I'm not going to discuss personnel matters.
Even public ones.
Senator, I'm not going to discuss personnel matters.
So, Kash Patel told this committee that his grand jury testimony after immunization, after initially pleading the Fifth, was, and I quote, sealed by the Department of Justice. How and when and why was his testimony sealed, and by whom?
Senator, I'm not going to discuss any testimony, especially testimony that could be sealed with you.
Jesus No, the question is, was it or was it not sealed?
Senator, I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Well, he also said that he worked with the Department of Justice to have his transcript released publicly. How and when was his transcript released? Presumably, if he released it publicly, that's something you can discuss because it's public.
Well, Senator, I believe you discussed that with Director Patel.
Oh, shit.
And I'm asking you because he said the Department of Justice made this decision and you run the Department of Justice.
I would refer that to Director Patel.
Even though you run the Department of Justice and he testified that the Department of Justice released his transcript publicly.
If it is released publicly, we will get you a copy, Senator, gladly.
If, being a rather important word there, when your FBI director testified that that was a fact.
Okay, then wait for it.
Treasury compiles suspicious activity reports,
oh, here we go.
referred to often as SARS, that DOJ receives automatically. Hundreds related to accounts of Jeffrey Epstein. How many of those Treasury SARS did you or Director Patel investigate?
Good question.
Senator, I'm not sure if you're concerned because you took money, I believe, did you, from Reid Hoffman, one of Epstein's closest confidants, not only once but twice in 2018 and 2024, if that's correct. But, Senator, did you ask Merrick Garland any of this over the last 4 years when he sat before you? This investigation has been going on. This investigation was closed. Did you ask Alex Acosta that?
And Patel came to office, you said you would look into this. There were hundreds of suspicious activity reports. Some people would deduce from the fact that they are called suspicious activity reports that there might be suspicious activity. And yet you seem to have looked at 0 of those suspicious activity reports involving Jeffrey Epstein accounts. Let me ask you something else. There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs?
All right.
In their?
This is fucking ridiculous. If those photos had existed, they would have come out 8 years ago. That's a ridiculous fucking question to ask. It would have come out 8 fucking years ago when Trump would have come close to winning the election.
Their search of Jeffrey Epstein's safe or premises or otherwise. Have you seen any such thing?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe, I could be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
The question is, did the FBI find those photographs that have been discussed publicly?
This is all a moot fucking point. Is he in the photograph? Is he or is he not? And did the FBI find any? No. Did they find any 9, 10 years ago? No. Did they release any that have been in the FBI's hands? No. Was Biden's DOJ and FBI conservative? Well, the director was, but he ended up not really being. Director Wray. None of them really investigated it. Those pictures would have been released. 100%. Because some whistleblower, and this is where it gets tricky, some whistleblower would have released it. I promise you. If a whistleblower had gone through that and seen it, whether I was a Republican, I was a Democrat, I was a communist, I would have leaked the photos. I would have found a way to leak the photos. As a whistleblower. That I probably would have been Epstein myself.
By a witness who claimed Jeffrey Epstein showed them to him. You don't know anything about that?
Oh.
Okay.
A witness claims that the photos were showed to him. Okay. On that note, hang on. I've seen pictures of Hakeem Jeffries cosplaying as a Mexican. Seemed pretty legit.
Here's what well, no, we cut to something else. The Marshal Service is supposed to protect our federal judges.
Yes.
I have asked repeatedly for the Marshal Service to let me know if they are investigating or being inhibited from investigating whether or not there is orchestration of threats against federal judges, whether under either conspiracy laws or racketeering enterprise laws or aiding and abetting laws.
You think
whatever.
that would be all in the news?
But as you know, there's the person who says the threat.
You think it would be all in the news if federal judges were getting life-threatening daily? Well, maybe it wouldn't be. Local news, for sure.
And then there may very well be somebody orchestrating the threat behind them. Mm-hmm. Is the Marshal Service allowed to investigate orchestration of threats? And do you know if they've taken one step to do so?
May I answer the question, Chairman Grassley? The time has expired.
I think it's the convention of the committee that if I've started my question in my time, you may answer the question.
I was asking the Chairman.
Okay, before I go to Cornyn.
She wants to answer the question, Chairman.
Oh, please go ahead. I thought you said you didn't want to answer it.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
sir. Thank you.
Turn your hearing aid
Senator
on.
Whitehouse, I would be happy to sit down with you regarding any threat to any federal judge in this country. We take threats very seriously. I will set a meeting with you, with Director Seralta of the U.S. Marshals, and I will be there. And we will talk about any threats on federal judges,
including orchestration,
who threatened them or who orchestrated them.
Bingo. Thank you.
You know, okay, that's not a booger. Sometimes she pisses me off. God damn, that hair needs to come down. Need to put more oil. Sometimes, you know, fuck her. But when you want to try to do a gotcha at the end of your time, that's how you do it. You call them out on their bullshit sometimes. Hello, Dominique. Some of those things, you know, if you're going to call her out on bullshit, then she can call you out on bullshit as well, Reid Hoffman.
So although we do not...
All right, so we're going to head over to Chicago, where the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois have come out and pretty much said, you will not help federal law enforcement or ICE. If anything, wait. Hold on. Let me play it this way first. I couldn't find the original video I pulled up yesterday. I guess I didn't save it. But this is Brandon Johnson after what happened in Chicago this weekend, where a federal agents were boxed in and then getting their vehicles rammed, and a lady and a male in one of the vehicles attempted to ram them, and the female occupant waved a pistol and they were arrested. One was shot. Not sure if she's dead, but yeah. And Chicago PD was told not to intervene. They were told basically, stop what you're doing, turn around, because we're told not to help.
We are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones.
Can't do that.
That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
Chicago's mayor looks to ban ICE agents from city property as ICE agents continue to find themselves under attack from rioters. This after Chicago police were reportedly told not to come to their aid. But Chicago's top cop says that's not true.
Our officers were not told to stand down. Our officers were out there throughout the entire event.
Were you?
I would never tell our officers to stand down, because if our officers were in trouble and we needed help from other officers, I would expect those officers to step in and help us. And it's the same thing that we do on our side. When someone is in trouble, we're going to step in.
Well, let's bring in John Hoyt. He's the National Fraternal Order of Police second vice president. John, thanks so much for joining us.
I hope they play the audio.
Now, the superintendent, that may be true from his perspective, but when it comes to the commander of the patrol, this is the audio that we heard. Let's play it.
So the chief of patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of Patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
So, of course, there was pushback because we all know in law enforcement, you hear 1033, 1013, you show up to help cops.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for playing that. It's important that the public knows the reality.
All right, so it was like a whole 2-second clip, or 2-minute clip, but all of it said the same thing.
That's what he should be saying. But clearly there's some form of disconnect if his command staff is giving orders not to respond to help our brothers and sisters in federal law enforcement. And quite frankly, as police, whoever it is that calls us for help, we can't be selective.
That's Illinois State Trooper, not Chicago PD.
Whether it's another law enforcement agency or the public. You know, our ethos is helping people. That's what we do as law enforcement. And as someone who's been in a situation where you need to call for help as you're getting surrounded and overrun, you know, I question whoever that commander was that gave that order, how much time they spent on the street as opposed to studying for promotion, because quite frankly, completely unacceptable to ever give that order.
I mean, it's like the cardinal rule in law enforcement. You don't leave another cop stranded.
Nope.
I don't know how this
never leave a man behind.
Job. I mean, part of the job, the most deadliest part of the job is traffic stop, patrolling. So are you hearing the same thing on the ground from your Chicago cops that are part of the national union?
100%. I mean, they released a statement immediately. They were 100% against the order that was given, and they called the command staff out for that. That listen, our officers on the street, Chicago as well, we swear an oath to the Constitution. That's what our oath is to, not to some mayor's political agenda and political policy. You know, again, we are out there to help people, whether it's the community or other law enforcement officers. When we are asked for help, we respond. And, you know, I have a lot of faith in my brothers and sisters in Chicago. And I know that maybe they were given that order, but they're not going to let someone get surrounded and get hurt. And quite frankly, the chances of an officer getting killed in that situation are high. So I know they did the right thing.
Likewise, brother. I want to get your comments on this other story. The Washington Post is reporting that some rank and file D.C. police have accused supervisors of downplaying, the serious crime to make their precincts seem safer as critics call on President Trump's use of the National Guard. What do you make of this? Apparently, they were telling him to low grade some of these serious offenses.
Yeah, once again, like in Chicago, it gets very dangerous when you let political agendas influence law enforcement policy and management. Listen, the cop on the street is doing the job the right way. They're writing up the reports accurately. When you let a Democrat agenda affect how people are grading policing and grading what crime classifications are out there, it becomes very dangerous because, one, a department needs to be transparent with its community about the struggles and the successes. And number two, the department's then going to improperly allocate resources of the department depending on those crime statistics. So then when you alter them to fit your agenda, your department's not going to be fulfilling their mission the proper way.
It's such a good point, especially after the defund measures. Of course, crime was going to skyrocket, and then they want to fudge the numbers. It's just all terrible for the people on the ground. Sir, thanks so much for joining the program. Thank you for your service to the country.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brad. Now let's listen to the police chief. And either he's blind and they're not telling him everything, but when you hear what he says in this one, I'm like, maybe he's just saying it now because it's after the fact. And he's trying to CYA. But just like we do in the military, no man left behind. Well, at least the Army. Pilots do it all the time.
Although we do not engage in immigration enforcement, we are going to enforce the law when the laws are violated.
Wait a second. So the executive orders that your mayor signed, are you going to arrest federal agents? Are you going to arrest ICE agents if they go to these no-fed zones? That's a good question I just came up with.
So let me be clear to the public about certain things. You have to excuse me, I'm a little dehydrated. Let me make this clear.
Let me be clear.
Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death.
Uh-oh.
When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force. And they can use deadly force in response to stop you. We need to be clear about these laws. We cannot become a society where we just decide to take everything in our own hands and start to commit crimes against law enforcement. It is a crime. You may not like what they're doing.
Like the ATF.
I can understand that there's a lot of emotions out there, but that does not mean that you get to commit a crime, especially one that could lead to deadly force.
What if it's unconstitutional?
We need to keep everyone safe. Our responsibilities when it comes to federal agents, and I've been asked these questions. We do not interfere with the duties and responsibilities of federal agents.
Let me be clear. Tear gassing the women and men who serve as Chicago Police Department officers is not how we make our city safer.
What? Come on, man.
Tomorrow it's you.
Come on, man. Y'all, you know that.
Come on, y'all been tear gassed.
Y'all know that was.
Look, this the. Wake up! Wake up! The next day it's gonna be you. ICE is not going to deport American citizens.
Yeah, this is the thing. If you're not there to assist ICE, get out the way.
Yeah. And besides, when you use that mace, that stuff is nasty. It gets everywhere.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, they should know that.
Yeah.
That's why they came up with the gel.
Intentionally pepper spray, please.
Or, in some cases, some people rub pepper spray in their eyes in their own car right before they have a cat. That's never happened. I'm just kidding. That's never happened.
Why is these idiots saying that? I think these cops put themselves in harm's way. They're not there to assist. Brandon Johnson told them to stand down and not assist ICE in any way. So why are you there?
Oh, they're part of the stunt.
Exactly. They're part of the stunt, I think.
Wow. Protect and serve. Not the people of America, but to serve and validate what the Democrats are saying.
Wake up! We're gonna go this way, and then we'll.
They're not acting like bitches. They just we got pepper sprayed.
Wake up! Y'all don't get. None of us get paid enough for this.
Job and arrest ICE.
Wake up!
They shot a Chicagoan today. Arrest ICE.
Why did they shoot him?
ICE agents shoot and injure a woman in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood. The Department of Homeland Security says the woman was one of several people using their vehicles to box in agents. According to ICE, the woman also had a semi-automatic gun and tried to run over the agents. The shooting.
What? No wonder she got shot.
She's lucky to be alive. Hey, everybody, before we get back to this video, don't forget our giveaway ends Wednesday night for the Dodge Hale Conco and Tetris. Yeah, you know what the left is. They shot a woman. Tomorrow's going to be you. What? This is all nonsense.
Yeah, they don't tell
Are you
why.
Gonna be outside with a gun ramming your vehicle into ICE agents?
Yeah.
Well, it probably will be you.
When are ICE going to deport American citizens? That's just hyperbolic language.
Yeah. Never.
Shooting happened on South Kedzie. No ICE agents were injured.
I'm calling for a full investigation into this incident and into all of the brutality that we have seen over the past week.
Brutality.
They are taking police resources that should be in our neighborhoods, serving Chicagoans and diverting them to deal with the chaos that they are causing. We need ICE out of our city so that we can continue to focus on the strategies.
Oh my God! Look at the fucking nose ring on
to
that
drive
patty.
violent crime down.
I think over the weekend, another 30 people were shot in Chicago.
Yeah.
Seems to be working great.
Well, police officers are there to, serve the American people, right? If we have people in our communities that's here illegally, they can also help protect ICE. I don't see why those two got to be a conflict. Police officers are supposed to support one another. Y'all on the same side, whether it's municipality, or city, or federal. It's
same
work together to get rid of illegal immigrants and criminals.
The federal government follows the Constitution.
Right.
Chicago Brandon Johnson definitely doesn't want to help.
They don't follow the Constitution.
We'll get more into him later.
Idiots. These actions tell us simple truth. If we allow this administration to take away due process for anyone, we will allow them to take away due process for everyone. They told us that this was about the worst of the worst. In reality, they are going after anyone who objects to families being ripped apart and community members being disappeared. ICE lies.
What the fuck are you talking about?
People die.
Disappeared. Did you hear what he just said?
What that fool say? We cannot allow this to continue. We must take action more drastic than what we have taken before, because what we are seeing is a more radical attempt to undermine our democracy.
Wait a minute. Is he saying what I think he's saying?
Wait a minute. And today we are signing an executive order. Yeah, that's undermining democracy, deporting people that's in our country legal. How does that undermine our democracy?
Well, that's democracy. That's their voters, evidently.
aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones.
What?
That means that
ICE
city
free
properties
zones?
and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
Okay. He's fucking clapping like a bunch of monkeys.
That's the dumbest
shit.
executive
Monkeys?
order. Yeah. You can't even force that on federal agents.
Can't.
That's the definition of insanity. How is sanctuary cities working out for you? So that's not working. I'm going to sign an executive
true.
order.
How are those sanctuary cities working out where ICE is going into them? Yours is one of them. Los Angeles is another. Look how that's working out for them. Look how it's working out.
ICE free zone. You are a moron. Well, these idiots behind them are clapping. Look, they're clapping for this.
Yeah, but look at their faces, man. So they're clapping for it. Then you got, Septum Ring Monkey over there. And then right next to Septum King Monkey, you have this giant four-headed bitch who definitely looks like she's forced to be there. And then you have, of course, he's hiding a woman behind him. Fucking anti-woman guy. Then you've got this little Indian-looking dude to the right. He's not even looking. He's just like, fuck me. Why am I even up here? And then you've got, I'm going to guess this lady's actually African. And she's got really no hair, but pubic hair is on top. And she's just like, I'm getting paid for this, right?
Oh my God. Damn sales. Yeah, y'all, man, you know what? That's why people treat me different. They look at me different because I'm one of you, but I'm not really one of you. You people are morons. Yeah. Ice free zones. People of color, everybody.
Our school parking lots are not for ICE to load their weapons. They are for Chicagoans who drop their kids off to learn.
I like this.
Our libraries are not for ICE.
I like to see, he signed this executive order. I like to see y'all roll up on ICE and try to arrest them. Yeah, I that would be fun. That would be fun to watch. I think, man, you make it pay-per-view. Make us sign up and pay for it. That is money well spent, and take the money and help provide resources for the American citizen.
American citizens don't
for
matter.
A raid. They're for Chicagoans to read and relax. Our parks are not for ICE to set up checkpoints. They are for Chicagoans to play and enjoy. Private establishments can partner with us to make it clear that private property is private property, and ICE cannot enter establishments without a valid warrant.
All right. Remember that, Chicago businesses that agree to this, when it comes to your business later on, when it comes to non-federal law enforcement, and you need them.
Private entities may voluntarily choose to display signage to designate their property as part of a citywide network of community spaces that stand together in affirming the safety, dignity, and belonging of all of our residents.
No, just American citizens. What are you talking about? Yeah, these are the signs they're going to put up. The property is owned and or controlled by the city of Chicago. It may not be used for immigration enforcement as a staging area, processing location, or operations base.
We know how that signs work out for you.
So I guess ICE can't even drive up and down city streets. That is crazy.
Okay.
They have emboldened people to come in our country illegally, made it okay. Y'all shielded these criminals from prosecution and being deported. That's against our Constitution. That's a threat to our democracy because you're using these bodies, these people here that's illegally, for more seats in Congress. Yeah. You guys are the real threat to democracy. You're a threat to our constitutional republic, which is a form of a democracy. The best form of democracy. Yeah. If it was a pure democracy, we'll be done. A pure democracy, United States would have fallen a long time ago. That's crazy. They putting these signs up. Like that's gonna do something. Just like y'all put up signs at the schools.
Just like gun-free zone sign.
Gun-free zone. Yeah. It doesn't, man. This is actually dumber. This is a great episode for Twilight Zone. Yeah, man. It's just how
like Rick and Morty come to life. All right. Now we're actually going to get into the mayor and the press conference he just had. How long does he talk for?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I know it's been a very busy several weeks, so thank you for your patience.
Testing. Okay, there we go.
You're testing
Craig,
now?
Are you ready?
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
As you probably are well aware, FBI Director Kash Patel has tweeted out that he's on his way to Chicago now to save Chicago. Could we get your thoughts on that? And if you could also just brief us on the latest that you know about where the National Guard is and where they may be warming up.
There's a naval
well,
base.
Kash is coming here to really enjoy the city of Chicago and spend money. And I strongly encourage him to spend as much as he possibly can. You know, the city of Chicago has been voted yet again the best big city in America, and he gets to get a front row seat to experience that himself. Our economy continues to grow despite the cuts that the Trump administration is putting forward. You know, as far as what we are hearing, the National Guard, first of all, it's illegal, unconstitutional, it's dangerous, it's wrong. This is not about deportation. This is not about safety for this president. This is about authoritarianism. It's about stoking fear. It's about breaking the Constitution that would give him that much more control over our American cities. We have not heard directly, of course, from the president or his administration. And
yeah, you have.
My expectation is that regardless of what this administration is doing, I'm going to remain firm and committed in protecting the rights and the civility of our nation, and we'll start right here in Chicago.
Is there any intelligence that you're hearing, not directly from the administration? Obviously, they're not talking to you, but I mean, have you gotten any inside intel about, where the Texas National Guard went? They flew out last night. They arrived somewhere. And what about the Illinois National Guard and as to when they might be called up?
Right. So we do know that much like what we've seen in other parts of the country, there's a process that the National Guard goes.
Not true. The Supreme Court said Donald Trump can use the National Guard specifically for this. Specifically because of Los Angeles.
Believe the streets of Chicago. Or what's really disturbing about all of this is that the National Guard, they have no policing authority or any policing powers. It's not what they're trained to do.
But they're not
and
policing.
So,
the private
intel that we have
security
received,
for the police.
Obviously, is that this president is determined to federalize the National Guard and to occupy our cities with the military. It's unconscionable. It's unthinkable. But this is America today, and we're going to do everything in our power to ensure that our democracy is ultimately protected.
For who?
Good morning.
Your executive order a few weeks ago urged federal law enforcement to not wear masks and present other identifying information. As that seems to continue to be flouted, is there anything that your administration can do to enforce those suggestions and ensure that residents know that the masked people that are showing up are actually maybe federal officials versus someone else?
Well, first of all, residents of Chicago will know that if they're in a mask and they're disguising, that is not a local police officer. Our officers are very much identifiable. They don't wear masks. They're here to serve and to protect our residents and our communities. Look, the executive order was designed to challenge the federal government to engage at a local level with the same level of accountability that we expect from law enforcement. This, again, is a further demonstration of this president's unwillingness to cooperate with mayors. And quite frankly, it shows his lack of understanding of how you build trust within communities and law enforcement. In fact,
honestly, Brandon Johnson, you saying that you need to fucking engage. You have know what it's like to be working for the people. You never have. You were a fucking teacher who was obviously implanting seeds into today's youth in Chicago on the, hey, if you're black, that's your get out of jail free card. And if you commit crime, it's because Donald Trump and Republicans. And if you're an illegal in my city, well, nobody's illegal. Well, unless you count the National Guard and the federal agents that can't come on city property.
This president has done more to interrupt the relationship between local law enforcement and law enforcement in general with the community. That's not how we create safe communities. Are there other things that we're looking at? Absolutely. Are we going to make sure that we do our part as a local law enforcement to continue to engage in constitutional policing and building those relationships so that we can continue to drive violence down? Absolutely.
And on your...
William, can you get off the phone? William?
Can you get off the phone, please?
Wow.
You okay? Can you get off the phone? Oh, yes. Thanks. Yeah, I got you.
And on your executive order yesterday, if they, I know that it was mentioned that you will take people to court if federal officials violate that executive order, but is there any thought that if they do violate it, that there could be more extreme responses, such as directing CPD to intervene and to get federal officials off of those?
Well, first of all, if they violate our local ordinance, this would be a criminal and a civil offense. And yes, we're going to see people in court, right? As far as other authority that allows for us to be able to enforce this ordinance, we're exploring.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
How are you?
Wonderful. You all did a wonderful job. last
Really,
night.
Ruth?
Shout out to Brandis. Yep.
Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it. After Superintendent Snelling's press conference, I wanted to ask you to clarify the sort of the rules of engagement for Chicago police when there's an immigration enforcement activity and the police are called. Back in August, at the end of August, Superintendent Snelling said that when the police department gets those calls, they will send a supervisor to the scene to sort of assess whether there's a public safety threat. And if there is, then officers will be dispatched. Is it your understanding that that policy was followed on Saturday, and is that policy still in effect?
Well, when the police department was called to arrive on the scene, they did. As I indicated yesterday, whenever a 911 call is dispatched to the local commanders, our local law enforcement shows up to do what they do, which is to serve. And
well, that local law enforcement watch commander, whatever, said don't show up. We played the video. They showed up after the fact because a Chicago native, somebody from Chicago got shot. That was part of this incident. And then we just played the Chicago chief of police saying that if any calls come in, they will respond. Even though you've said repeatedly, we will not respond when it comes to ICE enforcement. But if there's a shooting that involves ICE agents, that's the responsibility of Chicago PD as well, right? Even though Chicago PD wasn't involved?
To protect the peace. The protocol that we put in place was necessary to reassure people that we are following the local ordinance while also making sure that we are fully assessing the circumstances which could ultimately lead to a full determination. That protocol is still in place, and in fact, we saw it on display this Saturday. You know, what's disturbing about all of this is the fact that you had the federal government unleashing tear gas against police officers. I believe it was more than 24 officers were impacted.
If they're in the area, it happens to all federal law enforcement or any law enforcement, dickhead. You're going to get affected by it, whether it's because of the wind or because you're in the middle of crowd control and they're helping push the crowd control. And remember, half of these people you see kicking the gas canisters back towards the police. It's going to happen. but they weren't acting like little bitches.
Is unconscionable. The President of the United States of America is literally pitting law enforcement against law enforcement. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So that's why we had to put this clear protocol in place so that everybody knows that when our police department shows up, their first job is to make sure that that scene is protected and people are being serviced. In the event that scene begins to become clear that this is an ICE operation, obviously, without a criminal warrant, our local law enforcement will not dub as federal ICE agents.
Tonight, the Cubs are taking on the Brewers. Come on, Cubs. And, of course, the marathon is not too far away.
Yeah.
Will the city be making changes to its security plans for the marathon in particular, given the looming deployment of National Guard troops and the continuing ICE strike team operations?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The first part of it, was a little triggering, but look, we hold large-scale events in our city all the time, and we do it better than anyone else.
Yeah, with all the National Guard for the DNC. You're right. You're right.
And so our counterintelligence, our chief DeVries does an excellent job communicating with our chief of patrol as well as our chief of detectives. All of that is funneled up to Superintendent Snelling to ensure that anything that we see or hear that is coming through the different channels in which we investigate, that we are maximizing safety and security. So I feel strongly about our ability to be able to hold large-scale events, and the strategic security measures that we're putting in place are to ensure that we continue to hold the reputation of hosting large-scale events. The last thing that I'll say is, of course, when the Cubs win tomorrow, Game 3, that we celebrate, with some level of control, because we have to win 2 more games after that. And we've gotten word that roughly 3,000 runners from Mexico have signed up for this marathon. And I want all of them to come. I want them all to come.
If they have a proper visa.
I believe the best way in which we can demonstrate resistance is not bending the knee to tyranny. Now, what you've heard, though, from our Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, they have spoken very candidly, because I believe the larger point that you're making about safety also is attached to our economy, that what President Trump is doing, he's literally undermining the economic prowess of cities like Chicago, right? I mean, so we're encouraging everyone to get out and celebrate, and our police department working in collaboration with the federal government to ensure that we are keeping people safe.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
A video was circulating this weekend of ICE attempting to detain a person and failing after community members were protesting. They were pulling on the man's arms to try to keep him from being pulled into what appeared to be an unmarked SUV, and they succeeded. ICE drove away. It seems people who are concerned their family members are being, quote, abducted by ICE are more and more taking matters into their own hands. And I'm just wondering, how do you recommend residents act in moments like that where masked agents are attempting to detain a neighbor or a family member? What words of advice do you have for residents in those moments?
Well, first of all, I'm going to ask that people remain calm and, making sure that that we're not provocating any acts of violence. And I understand the turmoil and the level of anxiety that families are experiencing. Now, this is why I'm doing my part to make sure that every single tool that's available to me, we can maximize the protection of all Chicagoans. But my advice, of course, is to make sure that, families are upholding the principles and the values of engaging with civility, while also, recognizing that what the Trump administration is doing to escalate violence in our city and cities across America is just absolutely reprehensible. The fact that he has declared war on the city of Chicago is disconcerting, to say the least. And so I'm asking folks to operate in the long tradition of nonviolence.
All right.
While also.
So while this dude's going to try and feed us some more bullshit about how Chicago doesn't want, God damn it, of course it's going to do that to me. Doesn't want the help. Let's see what these Chicago residents think about the help.
Have the privilege of being able to say that we don't need the National Guard here in Chicago. They have the privilege of saying that because they keep themselves in their careful bubbles of Lincoln Park, Wicker Park. They stay up in some of the northern areas and they go and frolic at the beach, playing volleyball and pickleball and tennis in these areas where it's clean. There's minimal crime. Of course you feel like we don't need the National Guard because you've never stepped foot on the actual south and west side. Elitist progressives and leftist white Chicagoans have the privilege of not needing the National Guard in order to feel safe in their communities. They walk out their door in the morning with their babies to go get a quick coffee and their kid on a scooter with a helmet. That's privilege. That's the same privilege that you claim you want to be a part of unpacking and getting away from. It's the yuppie white women in Chicago who want to scream about Trump being fascist, yet they keep themselves carefully, safely tucked away in Lincoln Park. Come to Woodlawn. And not the cute part. No, go past 63rd. Come to Auburn Gresham. Chatham. Inglewood. Get on your scooter there. And do it about 7 o'clock.
What scooter?
Okay. If you're not going to do that, mind your business.
So it's just gone from bad to worse to disastrous.
No one really feels safe. It's impossible to feel safe in a city like this, especially with the leadership we have.
The kids nowadays, they're just wreaking havoc.
Chicago turns red.
We didn't play with guns.
Follow that guy. I can't remember his channel right
drill
now.
rap music like at this very young age. Like these kids are carrying guns like around the ages of 8 years old.
Chicago
and they're killing other 8-year-old kids with guns. It's insane.
So the governor and the mayor, Brandon Johnson, the governor and the mayor of Chicago are saying that they don't want Trump to come to Chicago because they're upset with him. This is so stupid. They're mad because he pulled grants for violence prevention or whatever it is that he pulled back in the spring. Talking about, well, you took the money, so you can't help us. If the money and the grants did not work, because God knows where that money went, you try a different strategy to stop the violence. The violence is still continuing. People are still being murdered down there all the time. So you don't want him to send the National Guard. And then I was watching on a video on YouTube. I forgot who the guy was, but it was still the mayor. He was being asked the question. He said, hey, if 5,000 troops or 5,000 more policemen were released on the streets of Chicago, do you think that would help? He refused to answer the question. He kept saying, well, let's be clear here. When I was growing up, he just started all he did was divert the question. He would not just say, hey, he said, look, I'm going to ask you one more time. He was like, would it be beneficial just off that alone? Everything else you said that's good, affordable housing, okay, we got all of that. What if we gave you 5,000 more police officers to police the city? Would that help? He refused to answer the question. He kept diverting it. And you know what? All the Democrats do that. They always divert. If you say, they will never give Trump credit for anything good that he's done. They won't give him credit for any of that. They will.
You know what else to flex? Pam Bondi.
Still spew their hatred, and those people are dangerous. Those are the people that will never admit that they're wrong. Even when all the cards are laid out and say, hey, this is where you're wrong right here. Do you agree? Because it's been proven this is where you're wrong with this. They will absolutely divert, and they will not admit the truth. In the world where we continue to give money for a program that's obviously it's proven not to work, because we don't know where the money truly went, but the program didn't work. So why would I continue to fund something that's not providing a benefit? It's not stopping the issue. It's not stopping the murders. It's not stopping the
right. That's like paying for a service and not being completed. Like imagine you have doorbell cams and a camera in your backyard, and you have a company that comes by every month and sprays for insects. You get a receipt saying the spraying's been complete. And you're like, I don't remember my alarm or my camera's going off. So you look at your camera, nothing there. And you call the company like, hey, my house wasn't sprayed, but I'm getting charged. Oh, we'll double check. They called the guy that's supposed to spray the house. Yeah, I sprayed the house, man. It's good. Everything's good to go. And then he called me. I was like, dude, there's nothing on my cameras. So it went back for like 3 or 4 minutes. And it took his boss to check his GPS and realize he sprayed my neighbor's house. I'm pretty sure all this meant something in the end. I don't remember what it was.
Violence. Why would I continue to give money? I'm going to try a different strategy. I'm going to put the cops in there and scare everybody. Not just scare everybody, but lock these criminals up like they should be. And they're not giving him credit for anything that's going on in D.C. The fact that the murders are down, that they haven't had any murders reported for the past 12 days or something like that. People are happy. People are feeling safe. There are even Democrats, black Democrats, because they don't even know why the heck they Democrat. They don't even know, truth be told. But anyway, they've just been told to follow the narrative because they are black. That's Negro here nor there. They're even showing support. They're like, dang, you know, I wouldn't vote for Trump, but it does feel good to go outside and there's nobody out here and there's nobody doing this and nobody doing that. Thank you. Because you are seeing true results. That is what Trump is providing. Stop and tell y'all that, because the way that he was talking, Trump, don't come here. We don't need your help. Who's going to help you then? Who's going to help the mothers that continue to lose children? Who's going to help these black men out here that ain't got no self-control and need to be locked up somewhere so they can realize the error of their way? Anyway.
So the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, signed an executive order to instruct his law enforcement not to work with the feds, right? I thought executive orders was Nazi and fascism. I thought that they were a threat to democracy, but another instance of hypocrisy.
Oh, you're right.
Rules for thee, not for me. You see what's happening in Chicago, right? Chicago is monetizing crime. Chicago is monetizing crime. You know, the crime goes up. They're like, hey.
I'm sorry, what did he say?
Chicago is monetizing crime.
Huh. So there's no money, no profit in crime? So they're using it. Think about it though. If you owned a business in Chicago and the crime rate is high, so you have to close early, you have the possibility of your shit being robbed, burned down, or, because you would lose money, or you have a city to where people can actually stay out at night and feel safe. Imagine the money that you could save or you could make, and then not having to worry about somebody breaking into your restaurant for the 3rd time this week. You don't have to worry about, making those repairs. Profits.
The crime goes up. They're like, hey, Fed, send us more dollars.
Profits for the
people. They throw a little bit of crumbs to the police unions, and they funnel the rest to the NGOs to continue to care for migrants, right? Because they're a sanctuary city. And it hands off of our voters, as they often say. What Trump needs to do is send a Doge team out there, send the National Guard to protect those Doge team, right? And audit the whole city, top to bottom, because you got to root the corruption out. Everybody, put cases on everybody, starting with Brandon Johnson. The Chicago Flips Red crew, try to get the feds to audit everything, all the books, preserve every last one of y'all documents, from the text chains to the emails. Everybody got to get looked at. Look under everything. See where those dollars went. Because Chicago is at a deficit, and it's not going to end this year. It's just going to compound. And then your city going to go bankrupt. And then all the jobs going to flee, and it's going to be Detroit. Like what happened to Detroit during the 08 housing crisis. And when all those bailouts had to go to the big autos. That's what's going to happen in Chicago shortly, in a hurry. And by that time, Brandon Johnson probably going to like punt the football to some other poor mayor that ain't going to know what he's doing. So until there's an audit, they're just going to keep playing with y'all money. So the taxpayers, we want to know where those dollars went.
I guess another page out of the woke, liberal, politically confused Democratic handbook says that if President Trump is for it and wants to sincerely help you, do not let him push back at all costs, even if it means allowing your own community and constituents to continue to be hurt, harmed, or killed. The governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago are refusing to allow Trump to help them by sending in the National Guard and helping the local PD reduce crime in the city of Chicago, because they say there's 30 other states with higher crime rate than Chicago. Bullshit. Chicago is one of the highest murder capitals in the freaking United States of America. We've all seen it. We all heard the news. The governor is floating down this river or whatever in a boat in Chicago yesterday, talking about, look how peaceful it is. Me and my wife just walked for ice cream over the weekend. Yeah, you didn't walk down the city, in the inner city. You didn't go where they're actually shooting and killing people. You went with your security guards where you're safe and protected. So tell that bullshit to the mother and the grandmothers and the fathers of them kids that are being killed on a weekly basis in the city of Chicago. Do you believe crime is actually down in Chicago and they don't need the president's help? Or do you believe they absolutely need the president's help and the National Guard to come in, because we cannot afford to lose another American life on the city streets in Chicago?
You know the reason that the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago don't really care about the crime and they're pretending like it doesn't exist? Because it's mostly isolated to the South Side. It's isolated to the regions where black people are the majority. This is where the crime. You guys are killing each other. Why would they care? How could that matter to them? There are no civilians in their eyes, like in these areas, because this is what these areas were created for, population control.
Bro. Brandon Johnson's security cost Chicago taxpayers $20 million a year. Holy shit. And it's, how many people are in this? 100 officers. His personal detail is 100 officers, and they cost $20 million a year. Bro, that's insane. I wonder why Chicago taxpayers allow this.
Prison labor, like to keep this cycle perpetuated. This is what it was created for. So of course they're going to pretend like Chicago. But as you've seen over this weekend, over every weekend, bro, why shouldn't these people deserve to live in peace? Why shouldn't your grandma be able to walk down the street without worry about? Why should little kids be able to walk around and play without getting shot to death? Why can't you sit in your car without niggas shooting your car? And them people deserve to be safe, bro. The criminals, bro.
Chicago. Y'all really outdid yourself. I'm convinced now that the National Guard really is going to be here. It was either the mayor or the governor confirmed that, per the information that they received, that the National Guard should be here by Friday. Y'all do too much. Like, the senseless gun violence is absolutely mind-boggling. But these things must occur because we are living in the last days. And you could talk to you blue in the face like I'm doing.
New York City's estimate is between 3.3 to 5.1 million. Not 20.
You can be outside protesting like others are doing, and it still must happen because the Bible prophecies cannot be stopped. But let me touch on this though. It was so sad to see those older women on 47th who got hit in crossfire or were targeted, don't know. The elderly women on the ground, who got shot. Like, what's going on?
The 2 women in the gardens that just lost their lives a day apart due to gun violence. Yeah, absolutely insane. 36th and Ellis, mass shooting. Mellow Bucks Party, mass shooting. 39 Picnic, mass. What's going on? Y'all don't have nothing else to do with your life? You don't see nothing else to do with your life? Like, it's unreal. And thanks to y'all, you finna mess it up. You've messed it up for everybody. See, when they come out here, because they came out here in the 60s before, and they was bothering regular citizens, people that's mad in their business. See, when they come out here, it's going to be different from DC. They coming out here to have a funky good old time because Chicago has this reputation and is a known city that's stricken with violence. You know, so they coming out here to have a funky good old time. Just know that. You not no sniper. You don't have the tactical training that they have. You have none of that. I don't care if you think you the biggest YN in Iraq. You can't hold a candle to them people, really. And they could legally.
You remember, a lot of them are pop shots and run, pop shots and run, or ambushes. Stuff that they've been training on for 25 plus years. We adapted into the urban cities of Baghdad, like Baghdad. Come on. This will be easy work. Especially when they bring in their vehicles.
Legally, put you down. So, and then there's so many egos out here. I really don't see this
being
a good thing at all. And like I say, it's going to go completely different from what it is in DC. That's light work. They coming out here on straight business dealing with y'all, for real. And yeah, just messed it up for everybody. Like, it's unreal. But y'all be safe, though.
You know, I want everybody to understand that
anything
the Democrats say, it's usually the opposite.
Make it too easy.
So when Mayor Johnson stood there before the press and signed that executive order saying that it is to protect the people of Chicago, he meant the opposite. I mean, you have the National Guard, the federal government coming to help your city, which is in crisis due to crime, and you're blocking them. You're telling police departments, your law enforcement agencies, to not collaborate with the National Guard. A city that you know have a problem with crime. Every week there's a shooting. I just watched a video of individuals on a football field on the floor because there was shots fired at the football game. And there's not an issue going on with crime in Chicago. This guy is gaslighting. He's gaslighting. He deserves a pair of cuffs for himself. And I hate to see the people of Chicago vote for such scum. I hate to see it, but this is who you vote for. This is exactly who you pick. You know, vote blue no matter who. This is the who. This guy is incompetent, and he has shown time and time again that he's incompetent and he lacks leadership.
It's crazy because he used to be a teacher.
I think that the people of Chicago
should
do the right thing and get him out of office because they deserve to have safety in their city.
Head of the CTU.
In Chicago, everybody got to get down. Everybody got to get down because
I remember that.
Everybody down. Look, these kids are running. They shooting. We can't have no fun in Chicago, man. No fun, man. This is terrible.
So Brandon, and not the former president, let's go Brandon, if you know, you know, but Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, I hear, is reportedly calling for the citizens to take to the streets if President Trump does indeed send in the National Guard.
No wonder.
Wouldn't that be like inciting a riot or inciting violence? Just asking for a friend of a friend, you know. At any rate, you guys, that would be the reason, Mayor Johnson, why President Trump is considering taking or sending the National Guard to your city is because your people have already taken to the streets. Oh, I swear I'm so tired of these bought and paid for politicians. It's almost as if they literally took Lucifer up on his offer when he said, all of these things will I give thee if you bow down and worship me.
Israel?
Like the good book says, what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? But it seems like nowadays that's the only trade deals that liberals are interested in.
And Republicans.
Shout out to President Trump for making America great again. MAGA!
Hey, what's up, y'all? Chicago. I'm talking to Chicago residents specifically. I know everybody in this tussle about Trump bringing the National Guard or whatever, but y'all know how bad it is here. And it's like everybody must have forgot what happened in 2020. If y'all forgot, let me remind you. This right here, I took this picture going to the grocery store. I was going to the grocery store. Y'all know the grocery store right there on Canal in Roosevelt, Jewel.
No, I don't.
I was going there to get a few things. We were in the middle of the pandemic. But they had called the National Guard then because of all of the looting and destroying the businesses, and these kids was out of control. It was in the middle of the pandemic. I don't know why I don't get off into all that political mumbo jumbo. I'm not on either side. I ain't no Trump supporter. I ain't none of that. But at the end of the day, you live here. You know how bad it is here. CPD do not care. CPD, they got these new laws now that they can't even, really arrest nobody. It's nothing. It really ain't nothing for them to do. They like some, what do you call crossing guards, really? They didn't put all these laws in place where CPD can't do nothing. They like just some crossing guards. That's all they are. So yeah, I'm not against them. Bring them on. Is all these smash and grabs going on now? All these kids jumping on cars? It's just terrible. Bring them. And this too. I guess y'all must have forgot they done been here before. When it got bad in 2020, this was in June of 2020. When it got bad like that, the National Guard came. Listen, I want to be protected. I don't want to be out here and somebody, pill popping ass son think I'm breakfast for him or something. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be somewhere where I'm afraid to walk around. So yeah, no, bring them. Cause it's getting out of control. I was at the gas station on 55th. If you from the city, you already know that was Death Trap right there off of Wentworth, off the expressway. But I had caught a flat. I pulled into that shell right there. Whew. Next thing I know, it's about 10 CPD police cars cornered this white Kia. Uh-oh. And it wasn't none but them young boys. It was about 8 of them got out that little small Kia. They had them machine guns. They had all types of they running from the police, I guess, because they had stole the car. I mean, listen, my daughter is grown and gone. But I promise you, if I had a son, if I had young children, I would probably move them someplace else other than Chicago. Somewhere in the suburbs, country area or something. Because it's just not safe.
Now my wife, she keeps trying to get me to go back up there for the fish market. And I'm like, you know what? No. No. At least this time I don't have a giant fucking pickup truck so I could actually park in the garages. But no. No.
So I'm not against it. I guess everybody want to act blind and act like they forgot. But this was in 2020.
The carnage, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson just cannot control. Hey, this is Keith, the law enforcement OG. I got 15 plus years experience in law enforcement. So let's get into this right here and right now. Now, I told you that this was going to happen. That's right. Over Labor Day weekend, within the city limits of Chicago, 53 people were shot. 53. 7 lost their lives due to homicide. This is a tragic reality of a city spiraling out of control under the so-called leadership of Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson. He flat out is incompetent, unqualified, and definitely cannot run the city facing the level of violence that is going on right now. Chicago deserves safety,
Y'all, you better
accountability,
put some
and a
respect on
strong
B-Rad's
leader.
name.
Not Mayor Johnson. Mayor Johnson is focused more on politics than protecting his people, the
No,
residents
he's
of
focused on
Chicago.
his pockets.
Families are paying the price, the ultimate price, due to his failures, and that's with their lives and safety. This is crazy. 53 people shot, 7 lost their lives due to homicide.
I just want to speak on Chicago's violence. So I've been seeing a lot of things about Trump wanting to send in the National Guards to Chicago. And our biggest thing is, what do that look like? So if Trump can just get up on any platform and explain to us exactly what that looks like, I feel like us Chicago people, we will really appreciate that, because it's not a bad idea. I don't think that it's normal. Like, people keep saying oh, Chicago is so big, and at the end of the day, that's why we have so many murders. But you guys got to realize that it's some of us that's in one neighborhood, and every day we're waking up to somebody else dead. So if I'm one person on the South Side Roseland area who is experiencing losing people every other day, and we have people in East section that's experiencing that, that's still a whole lot of murders, regardless of geographically what that spans.
I think 500 something like that.
Hey, Trump, you need to bring the National Guards to Chicago, man. You got kids killing kids, man. That's not good, man. Washington, D.C., is not much going on.
Why are you in the
compared
middle
to
of a
Chicago,
field at
man.
night?
I'm running. It's a war happening right now in Chicago, man. Hey, look, man. Look, go on the news, or go on Google, type Chicago. I'm going back home to Africa, man. I can't.
Oh yeah, this was funny. I mean, in some cases, maybe Africa is safer. I wouldn't know. I've only been to Djibouti. Yes, there is a country called Djibouti. All right.
Check. 1, 2. Yeah. Whoa.
You got it. Here it comes.
Into this world as a reject, looking through these eyes, then you see the size of the flame, dwelling on the past, burning on my brain. Everyone that burns has to learn from the pain. I think about a day, my girl that ran away with my pay when fellas came to play. Now she's stuck with my homies out of luck, and I'm just a sucker with a lump in my throat. Hey, like a chump, hey. I'm like a chump, hey. Like a chump, ooh. Like a chump, hey. I'm like a chump, hey. I'm like a chump, I'm like a chump, hey. Should I be feeling bad? Should I be feeling good? No, it's kinda sad. I'm the laughing stock of the neighborhood, and you would think that I'd be moving on, but I'm a sucker, like I said, messed up in the head knot. And maybe she just made a mistake, and I should give her a break. My heart'll ache either way. Hey, what the hell? What you want me to say? I won't lie, that I can't deny. I did it all for the nookie. Come on, the nookie. Come on.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, I hope you enjoyed Brandon Johnson in the city of Chicago, as well as Pam Bondi, both lying and not lying, and being feisty, but also having her call people out, as well as Marsha Blackburn calling out Dick Durbin again for the same thing. I think that's it. Yeah, but I'm not telling you how to think, because I'm kind of hungry right now, so I really don't know what I'm thinking. But I'm just telling you to think. I'm hungry. We're going to go eat. You have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you. Not really sure when I'll see you. It's just kind of sporadic. You can go now. Have a good day.